Why I'm introducing R2D2 is actually to show like effects that you can do with the data that you have already anyway, like depth of field. Because you have the depth information, you can like set like, okay, I want that depth to be in focus. Like I put the focus on R2D2, which means that the background will be, like I can blur it depending on the distance between a point and the point that's in focus. And that's really a simple blur in which you change the blur amount based on the difference in distance to the focus point. There's nothing, no rocket science there. And the only thing that you usually need to do is like make the blur a bit smart, because if you would just blur it, then those the regions that are close to R2D2 will try to sample from R2D2. But since R2D2 is in focus, it will mean that it will bleed into, like R2D2 will bleed into out of focus area. So we actually have to, if the point is in focus, then don't include it in the blur. And then you can get like really much nicer depth of field. So kind of like this. Where do we go? There we go. Yeah, I didn't really implement collision detection. Of course, like shadows impact R2D2 and stuff. That's like a short overview of the OA3D deferred render in progress that might or might not see the light of day at some point. 5? Okay, I can do that because that's the end. I think I still have this. And this is like just, I used this to show the water, but it's actually part of a larger experiment I was playing around with. It didn't have anything to do with lighting per se, except for the water. I decided to show it anyway. Well, if I had time. Yeah, I was playing around with like terrain rendering, and I included it just for the water, but I'll show you the rest since I got time. And basically, this is the Fresnel effect with real-time reflections and working. So if you look down, you're allowed to see through the water and see the soil there. If the angle is shallow, then it will start reflecting the environment. And these are just like the planar reflections that I showed earlier on a slightly larger scale. And this is actually like the terrain stuff is a project I've abandoned, at least for now. I might get back to it, but it's just like experimenting with a paging, terrain paging engine in Flash. So to show you the scope of it, it's kind of big. I was playing Skyrim at the time. I have that effect that when I'm playing a game, I'm like, I want to do this. And then like after 130 hours of Skyrim, I decided to like, yeah, finally like do this. But this is as far as I got. There's still like, you can see like openings, cracks, because I didn't fill those out yet. It's actually really easy to do, and that's what made it so very uninteresting to fix. So that's why it's still there. I think you know that feeling, and of course, like it's really big. And the reason why I like abandoned it, you can see like the LOD happening there, and it's actually streaming. It's just building everything in a quadtree of like descending complexity. So it starts out with one approximation for the whole terrain. I think it's like about 20 square kilometers. And then you divide it in 4. And each 4, like every quadrant, you kind of generate another geometry for that with more precision, with twice, well, with half the error margin. And descend that until you have no error margin at the end of your subdivisions, and then you just stream in the data depending on how close you are to them. And now the reason why I abandoned this, well, I got tired of this and stuff, is I can show you just like 4 quadtrees that I'm like placing next to each other. 105 megabytes. Of course, it's not optimized, so there's room for optimizations, but I don't want to put that on my server and have it stream. Maybe the guys from Influx. But that's just like showing the terrain stuff that I've been working on, mainly for the water, but I spent hours on this and I didn't want to not show it. It would have been a waste. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. If there's questions, is there time for questions or something? Or?